Tonight on Lore of Dracula.
700 years of documented sightings. Isaac Newton and Alessandro Volta.
Stoker introduced lore a mile deep
When he chose this legend to introduce his title character.
Why do we never see this scene in any of the movies?
Could there be real scientific fact behind it?
That's micro-lightning.
Let's see if there's something to this legend. Oh my. Holy cow, what is that? Look at that!
Join me for the truth behind Stoker's Blue Flames.
Explore the history and lore of Dracula.
Stoker's Blue Flames serve as an eerie introduction to Dracula. But is there something deeper there? Something that modern audiences are missing? What is the lore behind the centuries-old legend that inspired it? Could there be real scientific fact behind it? And why did Stoker choose to put it in a position in the novel that may be more prominent than most people think? Explore with me the folklore in detail, from the page itself, from Stoker's research, to its greater impact on the novel's themes. And tonight, I will explore a remote swamp on an expedition to discover if the blue flames are a real, natural phenomenon that exists today.
Dracula, Chapter 1. Jonathan Harker's Journal, the 5th of May. Suddenly, away on our left, I saw a faint flickering blue flame. The driver saw it at the same moment. He at once checked the horses and, jumping to the ground, disappeared into the darkness.
These lines come early in the novel when Harker has met the driver that will take him directly to the castle. What follows is a fever dream nightmare and a supernatural event triggered by the mysterious driver. But what inspired this to Stoker's mind to put it on the paper in the first place?
A swamp like this should give us the right conditions. There's open water, lots of vegetation types, and plenty of mixed area with consistently moist soil. But if we're hoping to spot the legend from Stoker's novel tonight, we must first understand what Stoker had in mind.
In a July 1st, 1897 interview with British Weekly, not long after the book's publication, the interviewer, Miss Jane Thompson Stoddard, known to readers by the name Lorna, asked Mr. Stoker,
"In order to understand the legend, I suppose it would be necessary to consult many authorities?" Mr. Stoker told me that the knowledge of vampire superstitions shown in Dracula was gathered from a great deal of miscellaneous reading.
No one book that I know of will give you all the facts. I learned a good deal from E. Gerard's essays on Romanian superstitions, which first appeared in the 19th century and were afterwards published in a couple of volumes.
Those published volumes would be The Land Beyond the Forest and Transylvania Superstitions. Remember, Gerard wasn't writing fiction here, but documenting the lore specific to the region of Transylvania. What she discovered was an existing legend surrounding blue flames, mysticism, and buried treasure.
In the night of St. George's Day, so say the legends, all these treasures begin to burn, or, to speak in mystic language, to bloom in the bosom of the earth, and the light they give forth, described as a bluish flame resembling the color of lighted spirits of wine, serves to guide favored mortals to their place of concealment.
Now compare that to what Stoker authored in Dracula, taking up just a little later from the passage we quoted before.
The driver suddenly appeared again, and without a word took his seat, and we resumed our journey. I think I must have fallen asleep and kept dreaming of the incident, for it seemed to be repeated endlessly, and now, looking back, it is like a sort of awful nightmare. Once the flame appeared so near the road that even in the darkness around us, I could watch the driver's motions. He went rapidly to where the blue flame arose. It must have been very faint, for it did not seem to illumine the place around it at all, and gathering a few stones, formed them into some device. Once there appeared a strange optical effect, where he stood between me and the flame. He did not obstruct it, for I could see its ghostly flicker all the same. This startled me, but as the effect was only momentary, I took it that my eyes deceived me, straining through the darkness.
An incredibly enigmatic scene. What exactly is the device that the driver is constructing? Why is he so occupied with the blue flames? And the mysterious optical illusion effect is an incredible play on words.
So the swamp I'm exploring tonight is extremely remote. There are no nearby houses, and if there ever are blue flames out here, the chances of them being observed by human eye are minimal at best. Yet on tonight's vigil, I'm never going to be without cell phone signal. That's very different than Jonathan Harker. Stoker paints that nightmarish journey to the castle, an endless, dizzying maze of wolf packs and supernatural flame. The feeling of isolation, the feeling of fear. It's like a Twilight Zone episode.
Jonathan Harker, in that coach, far away from the normalcy of modern London and into the wild unknowns of ancient Transylvania, is living that nightmarish scene where he can't discern time, space, or reality. But the fiction works because it doesn't stop there. The scene sticks with us because there's this character, Dracula, who is an apparent lore master, a sorcerer who can master mystery that science cannot. And the depth of the backstory is what sells it. Let's read later on the impact this had on Harker, which also details the power and strength Stoker gets from the blue flame scenes in building his iconic antagonist.
Dracula, Chapter 2, Jonathan Harker's Journal, May the 7th. As time went on, and I had got somewhat bolder, I asked him of some of the strange things of the preceding night. As for instance, why the coachman went to the places where he had seen the blue flames. He then explained to me that it was commonly believed that on a certain night of the year, last night in fact, when all the evil spirits are supposed to have unchecked sway, a blue flame is seen over any place where treasure has been concealed. That treasure has been hidden.
This is early in Harker's conversations with Dracula. He wasn't bold enough to mention it at first, given the experience was so otherworldly. But as he got bolder, it's obviously forefront in his fascination. As it was for me too the first time reading the blue flame scene in the book.
In the region through which you came last night, there can be but little doubt, for it was the ground fought over for centuries by the Wallachian, the Saxon, and the Turk. Why, There is hardly a foot of soil in all this region that has not been enriched by the blood of men, patriots, or invaders. In old days, there were stirring times when the Austrian and the Hungarian came up in hordes, and the patriots went out to meet them. Men and women, the aged and the children too, and waited their coming on the rocks above the passes, that they might sweep destruction on them with their artificial avalanches. When the invader was triumphant, he found but little, for whatever there was had been sheltered in the friendly soil. But how, said I, can it have remained so long undiscovered, when there is a sure index to it if men will but take the trouble to look? The Count smiled, and as his lips ran back over his gums, the long, sharp canine teeth showed out strangely. He answered, "Because your peasant is at heart a coward and a fool. Those flames only appear on one night, and on that night no man of this land will, if he can help it, stir without his doors. And dear sir, even if he did, he would not know what to do. Why, even the peasant that you tell me of who marked the place of the flame would not know where to look in daylight, even for his own work. Even you would not, I dare be sworn, be able to find these places again."
We now know Stoker's blue flames are thought to mark buried treasure, but it's quite dangerous business to chase after them, especially the night before, when evil spirits abound. Can we use this new information to clue in on some of the mysteries from that night on Harker's journey up to the castle as he first recounted the Blue Flames episode?
Now let's get back to Emily Gerard's Transylvania Superstitions to see if we can find a parallel and shed light on what Dracula was doing with those blue flames. What was this device he was constructing, and why was it such a hush-hush topic?
The conditions of the successful raising of such a treasure are manifold and difficult of accomplishment. In the first place, it is by no means easy for a common mortal who has not been born on a Sunday, nor a midday when the bells are ringing, to hit upon a treasure at all. If two people are together during this discovery, they must not, on any account, break silence till the treasure is removed. Neither is it allowed to fill up the hole from which anything has been taken, for that would induce a speedy death. Another important feature to be noted is that the lights seen before midnight on St. George's Day denote treasures kept by benevolent spirits, while those which appear at a later hour are unquestionably of a pernicious nature.
There's a lot to unpack here. So is the driver's silence more than just enigmatic malice? Gerard's documentation of the real legend says that if two are together, they must hold their silence. Also, the successful recovery of a treasure is no easy feat for a regular mortal. Does this suggest that our driver is not? An excellent plant by Stoker. Keep in mind, just later in the novel, the driver is revealed to be Dracula.
Once more, our driver is really treading dangerous ground, going out on the night when, as Stoker writes, evil spirits have unchecked sway. Very familiar with Gerard's warning about after St. George's Day. If you're wondering, that day is April 23rd. Harker writes these events May the 5th, marking these treasures as pernicious on either account.
The ghostly mirage of the flames flickering through Dracula and the device that he constructs make this passage particularly memorable. If Stoker is following Gerard's legend, Is Dracula performing some kind of ritual here that allows him to access the treasure where a mere mortal knows not or could not? Maybe the spirits were trying to kill him for attempting to remove the treasure, but they could not. Or perhaps he was filling up the hole where the treasure was against Gerard's rules. Perhaps those spirits could not whisk away the soul of the undead.
So what is the impact of the blue flames in the novel and the greater lore behind it?
The pervading theme of Stoker's Dracula is modern science against ancient superstition. That theme plays out here, with Harker being completely unaware of the backward, old folklore of Far East Europe. Cosmopolitan London has long since done away with believing in the boogeyman. But is the folklore so backward? And that's the question Stoker poses to us. Built into introducing us to his title character, has Stoker chosen a so-called backward folklorish legend that actually has basis and verifiable scientific truth? Stoker introduced lore a mile deep when he introduced this 700-year-old legend into his novel. Alessandro Volta and Isaac Newton both conjectured the matter scientifically. It's a phenomenon called ignis fatuus, meaning foolish fire, called so because of the many legends that warn of mysterious swamp lights leading travelers astray to danger.
You might wonder exactly what I'm looking for out here, and perhaps so do I. But it isn't just Emily Gerard or Transylvania who has folklore and recorded sightings of random, rogue blue flames. Bram Stoker was from Ireland, and the entire British Isles are a hotbed for stories, especially during Stoker's time of Will O the Wisp or Jack-o'-lantern. Yes, this Blue Flames legend is so pervasive that our icon of Halloween was actually known as the spirited blue flame before it became solely known as the hollowed-out pumpkin votive we know today.
Would Bram Stoker have been familiar with this legend in his own home? I would think highly likely. And he may also be familiar that this could be more than just legend, but have the basis in real scientific fact. Ball lightning, St. Elmo's fire, natural combustion of swamp gas. All of these intersect local legends of foolish fire leading people astray, and real scientific phenomenon.
To get an idea of how the Will O the Wisp blue flame legend was looked at in Stoker's generation, listen to this account from the Worcester area newspapers of January 1840.
I gave an account of a great many facts which I collected, and which are published in my pamphlet on the old red sandstone of Worcestershire and Herefordshire, relative to that remarkable and interesting phenomenon called the ignis fatuus, or Will O the Wisp. But I never had the pleasure of seeing it myself until the night of the 31st of December, 1839. In two meadows and a stubble field on the south side of Brookhouse, situated about a mile from Powick Village near the Upton Road, I had for several nights before been on the lookout there for it, but was told by the inhabitants of the house that previously to that night it was too cold. I noticed it from one of the upper windows intermittently for about half an hour between 10 and 11 o'clock, at the distance of from 100 to 200 yards off from me. Sometimes it was only like a flash in the pan on the ground. At other times, it rose up several feet and fell to the earth and became extinguished. And many times, it proceeded horizontally from 50 to 100 yards with an undulating motion like the flight of the green woodpecker, and about as rapid and once or twice it proceeded with considerable rapidity in a straight line upon or close to the ground. The light of this ignis fatuus, or rather of these ignis fatui, was very clear and strong, much bluer than that of a candle, and very like that of an electric spark, and some of them looked larger and as bright as the star Sirius.
That account gives a picture of what Stoker's readers might have thought about Will O the Wisp. Stoker takes this curiosity and makes his title character the master of it. An excellent way to tie Dracula into legitimate Transylvania lore with Gerard's legend and the Will O the Wisp mystery prevalent in the British Isles, where his book would meet its first audiences.
As Bram Stoker is crafting Dracula, he is mindful about creating a sustaining mythos around his title character. That's the staying power of the story to this day. The depth of lore, the imaginative believability, thanks to the care in crafting a tale, blurring the lines between fantasy and strange possibility. Stoker's research, coupled with his own likely knowledge of the depth of legitimate mystery behind the Will O the Wisp, became the perfect way to introduce his title character. I want to point attention to these scenes, as to me, they harken back to the memory and the importance of the blue flames to both the book's theme and plot. This comes just a little later as Harker is looking for escape from the castle.
Dracula, Chapter 4, Jonathan Harker's Journal, 25th of June, later. The only thing I found was a great heap of gold in one corner. Gold of all kinds. Roman and British, Austrian and Hungarian and Greek and Turkish money, covered with a film of dust as though it had lain long in the ground. None of it that I noticed was less than 300 years old.
Sounds like Dracula's only means of wealth is his mastery of the spirited blue flames and his unholy ability to extract the treasure it marks. What does he need these hoards of money for anyway, as the undead? He needs not food, warmth, or convenience, only blood. But the blood he needs is in London, and for a trip he'll need knowledge Harker supplies and his ill-gotten gains from the blue flames. We can see evidence of this later when the heroes finally meet Dracula face to face over the last box in London.
Dracula, Chapter 23, Dr. Seward's Diary, 3rd of October. Harker evidently meant to try the matter, for he had ready his great kukri knife and made a fierce and sudden cut at him. The blow was a powerful one. Only the diabolical quickness of the Count's leap back saved him. A second less, and the trenchant blade had shone through his heart. As it was, the point just cut the cloth of his coat, making a wide gap whence a bundle of banknotes and stream of gold fell out.
Just moments later, Dracula makes certain to reclaim at least some of that valuable coinage.
Grasping a handful of the money from the floor, dashed across the room, threw himself at the window. Amid the crash and glitter of the falling glass, he tumbled into the flagged area below. Through the sound of the shivering glass, I could hear the ting of the gold as some of the sovereigns fell on the flagging. We have learned something much. Notwithstanding his brave words, he fears us, he fears time, he fears
want. For if not, why he hurries so? His very tone betray him, or my eyes deceive. Why take that money?
So in terms of the plot, the Blue Flames episode was crucial as Dracula's preparation for his designs in London. But it's the power in the theme we detailed earlier, the balance of mystery to strange reality that underpins its quality. The fact it became a plot device as well likely illustrates the early stage to which the Blue Flames legend may have been incorporated with the character Dracula.
I'm not looking for ancient gold tonight. I'm hoping to see a real natural phenomenon, like reported in 1840, to find out if the Blue Flames mystery still works exactly the same as Stoker designed. A perfect companion to Dracula the character, as central to his main theme. The unbelievable sometimes can be true. But if the Blue Flames do such a good job of introducing Dracula, why do we never see this scene in any of the movies?
The 1992 Columbia picture, Bram Stoker's Dracula, pays homage to the Blue Flames by having them guard the entrance to the castle. Not at all the right usage from the book, but a neat nod in a Joseph Campbell kind of way. Campbell's storytelling theory, the hero's journey, suggests a moment of crossing the threshold when characters leave the real world and enter the domain of the story. In the book, the Blue Flames episode is exactly that kind of scenario. The first moment of clear illustration where we aren't in Kansas anymore.
There are many Dracula movies, from silent to modern, big budget to obscure, but I have yet to find any that stage the Blue Flames scene correctly. This might be Dracula's Tom Bombadil moment. While the episode introduces the supernatural nature of Dracula, as we pass the threshold from the normalcy of London to the supernatural realities of Dracula's world, I could see that taking a while to appropriately play out on screen. Movies can go on without it and accomplish plot and theme just the same. But same as ringers lament missing the man whose boots are yellow, at least they got their Blue Flames equivalent in Tolkien's Dead Marshes scene. No doubt inspired by the same Will O the Wisp legends. But Dracula fans are missing more. The depth of lore expressed in Stoker's novel is greatly shallowed by leaving the Blue Flame episode out of the movies.
And here's another reason the Blue Flames are a perfect tie-in for what Stoker was creating with Dracula. An icon of the last standing mystery in a modern world. While sightings of the Will O the Wisp abound from the time the novel was written and before, we never hear of people seeing rogue Blue Flames in swamplands today, do we? With everyone and their brother having a video camera in their hip pocket via their cell phones at all times, shouldn't we have plenty of footage if these spirited wisps are actually real?
A 2014 philosophical transaction of the Royal Society article poses that very question. Professor of Molecular Spectroscopy Howell G.M. Edwards asserts, "It is without doubt that the Will O the Wisp phenomenon was manifestly real and widely observed throughout Europe and North America, at least through the 19th century."
Could it be bioluminescence, chemical luminescence, or natural spontaneous combustion? Who knows, but Edwards seems to implore researchers in this article to apply the new techniques that have revealed extremophiles in deep sea vents and in Arctic conditions. Maybe we can use this new tech to discover bacterial methogens in normal swamplands. It may be a gateway to prove how Will O the Wisp achieves its combustion or luminescence. Or maybe it's not worth the risk to expend those resources chasing something that has very few modern-day sightings.
It's just starting to dawn and I haven't seen anything yet, but I've maybe made it to the best spot to see something like this. There's older decaying vegetation, some open soil. Nobody knows why sightings of Will O the Wisp have declined. Maybe it's because with modernizing, industrialization, areas where the conditions are right are few and far between now. Just as Stoker wrote Dracula as the last bastion of mystery and folklore in a progressively scientific world, maybe Will O the Wisp is our real modern-day equivalent of the Count. Rare, weird, but factual. The reason I say factual is there was a recent discovery, observing in a lab micro-lightning, which could be the culprit for Will O the Wisp.
If the igniter is micro-lightning and the fuel for the flames is methane, which under the right conditions can burn cool blue, maybe we are on the right track? Alessandro Volta, who invented the electric battery, collected natural bubbles and proved their methane content and combustibility. In 2025, chemist Richard Zare demonstrated that tiny water droplets, just like those bubbles Volta collected from natural waters, can create even tinier sparks. He calls them micro-lightning. Proof that both fuel, ignition, and the prospects of the two meeting exist in natural conditions. Here's video of a lab experiment showing micro-lightning produced in mimicked swamp conditions. But that's a spark in water. Where are the blue flames hovering in air? Can micro-lightning between bubbles really generate something that big? And what about the lights over drier ground reported in graveyards, churches, and solid dirt where Transylvanians hid treasure, such as in the novel?
I've now got 3 different cameras set up, covering different aspects of the swamp. I've got a camera over the marshy area, I've got a camera over the open water, and I've got a camera through some of the reeds and high grass. You see that? What is that? Look! Never seen anything like that. Tell me the camera picked that up.
Okay, so forgive me for doing that, but I couldn't help but try and create a visualization of what it must be like to see one of these things. I did not really sight anything strange, but I wanted to try to capture that same feeling that Harker had in the novel. It must be a sort of Twilight Zone type of feeling, that we somehow escaped the real world and the natural rules no longer apply. Wouldn't we think the same, that it must be some optical illusion confusing our senses?
That's the power of the blue flames. Stoker used the episode to give us the first look into Dracula's supernatural powers. Through his fiction, he gave us an answer to centuries-deep lore of what the blue flames are and who can master them. He tied the episode into a plot device, Dracula's means to take over London. Despite its lack of use on film, we can't deny its value in print. With Dracula, Stoker was giving us permission to have fun with the idea. Maybe science hasn't discovered everything after all. And the mystery of the Will O the Wisp gives us that to this day. Is micro-lightning the answer to a centuries-old mystery? Or is the journey more fun than the destination? Maybe the gift of not knowing is really what the blue flames are all about.
I didn't see Will O the Wisp, and I can't say that I'm glad, but on the same token, mystery is such a great thing. I'm glad we still have it, and the question is unanswered. Isn't that the whole reason Stoker wrote Dracula? to pump the brakes on industrialized society, defining and classifying everything, making folklore, legends, and real mystery extinct. Like micro-lightning, Dracula's blue flames are a perfect microcosm of the lasting power of Stoker's novel. Mystery is good for mystery's sake, and great fiction blurs the lines between mystery and reality, folklore and fact.
Thank you for joining me on tonight's journey. For more Lore of Dracula and other classic horror, use the links you see on the screen now. Subscribe to the channel and watch our latest episodes.